Hello and welcome to Breakfast Central on a Monday morning. We are counting down to the end of the year in 2025. Particularly as we count down, we're also looking forward to have a very interesting show for the start of a brand new working week. For those who are, going back to work, it may seem like it's a bit stressful, especially seeing those who may have closed for the entire year. But for some of us and most of us who, of course, we just have to be at work for the benefit of you watching us every morning. Well, we're not taking it in a different, I would say, slate, or we're not getting angry. We're just here to make sure that we do our jobs. But welcome to Breakfast Central. My name is Joe Hansen. And today, yes, we have a lot in store for you. Benga Bola is in the house. What's good, Benga? Good morning.
Yeah, I'm very well, thank you. Good morning, Nigerians. Good morning, wherever you're watching, everywhere in the world. This is Breakfast Central. I am Benga Aboa. Hope you had a very great and restful weekend. It was a mix of both for me. I had to do some work, and also I got some much-needed rest yesterday. It's the last week of Breakfast Central for the year, and next week we'll make my first year anniversary on Breakfast Central. And I have to say a big thank you to the veterans of Breakfast Central, especially Oliver Modi, who's a dinosaur on the show, for paving the way, and people like Joe Hansen for paving the way for me, for being fantastic co-hosts, for showing me the ropes of Breakfast Central. And it's been a very great year. And yes, let's do this again in 2026. You're welcome. So many things happening in the country and around the world, and we'll get to it shortly, not after Lady Olive does her introduction.
That's right. Yeah. So while we're waiting for Oliver to indeed get ready and get it going, let's also announce to you that, just as Benga has mentioned, so many has happened over the weekend, from conversations surrounding the Xmas gift from the United States President Donald Trump, that saw Sokoto being, of course, bombed, to conversations around what's happening in river states. There seems to be factional parties supporting the number one citizen, President Bola Tinubu, and then the sudden travel of the number one citizen, yes, President Bola Tinubu, after
a lot of ripples.
Yeah, yes. After a previous press release was put out by the SA or SSA to the president, Mr. Bayo Nanuga, stating that the president would be in Lagos for the holidays. And then all of a sudden, there was another press release just over the weekend that he'll be headed out to Abu Dhabi for the summit. What summit? Well, that conversation is what we're about to start. And that starts our wake-up conversation. So let's start with this one. President Bola Tinubu has quietly, well, until his SSA put out that press release, jetted off to Europe ahead of a summit in Abu Dhabi, slated for January, not 1st. Not 2nd, no. 11, January 11. Okay, take note. But his early departure is raising eyebrows back home, here in Nigeria. Now, with the country still reeling from economic hardship and public outrage over a recent U.S. drone strike in Sokoto that reportedly caused panic and damage in civilian areas, many Nigerians are questioning the president's silence. He's yet to address the nation on the incident. And to make matters worse, the presidency hasn't released a detailed itinerary for the trip, despite it being funded by taxpayers already grappling with inflation subsidy cuts, and a struggling naira. Now, at the moment when the phrase Nigeria bleeds echoes louder than ever, the president's absence and lack of transparency are leaving citizens with more questions than answers. But what you see on the screen there is what we've talked about before.
So many times.
Let's take a look. Just watch this video.
That's Minister Atiku Bagudu, Minister of Budget Planning. That's Femi Gbajabiamila. That's Wale Edu. That's the Deputy Governor of Lagos State. That's Hope Uzodinma, all the way from Owerri. He left his Christmas celebrations to come and, wave
the president waves. Ooh.
Yeah.
And then you have them again.
Yes.
When did we start this trend?
It started in 1960 under Tafawa Balewa. Why are people laughing now? It's something we've inherited since independence, and nobody deems it fit. I wish we had another video on the side of South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa traveling, 2 or 3 people.
Even French president, even the United States president.
I mean, these are very important people that should be facing important matters of state. Okay, I understand your chief of staff, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila, but look at
and
Mr.
even the Lagos State governor, okay.
Yeah, and even the
because he's living from Lagos State.
Yes,
but the rest, I don't understand what's going on. That But you know what's even worse? The more you Nigerians criticize them, the more they do it. It feels like the entourage is getting longer by the
Or this entourage is small, Sha, compared to the previous ones. The last trip, the entourage was so long.
Really?
Yeah.
This is smaller.
No, this is smaller.
And
this is smaller.
Maybe if it was in Abuja, because it's departing from Lagos.
This is smaller. Anyway, the major concern for this entire conversation is that Nigerians are wondering, one, the president has not carried out a State of Nation address on the recent, drone bombing about the United States. Maybe the president is saying, let the security chiefs take care of that. 2, Nigerians were expecting that during the Yuletide season, or like my friend would say, Yuletide season, that the president would have done a small video to address the people and talk to them about certain things. 3, Nigerians are worried that this trip, the Abu Dhabi event is January 11. Please correct me, today is 29th, if I'm right. And that simply means you have a longer, so is the president going to stay for so long? And then the SSA puts out a statement and says that he's going on a trip in Europe. And everybody said Europe, where? You have to be specific.
Why so
specific?
With
why are you...
With the geographical location?
Yeah, what specific.
Yeah, because people have been criticizing the president. Now, what is it with France? Why is it always France? And that Europe that I went to, in a few days' time, we'll know that it's France that I went to. You should have just put it there in the press release. I don't know why we always shroud things with secrecy. If he has to go for an annual medical checkup, it's within his rights. Let's be very transparent. He was elected by Nigerians. He's serving Nigerians, and I don't understand why things have to be done under the ground, under the guise of secrecy and what have you. Let's not be economical with the truth. Nigeria needs to know. And my biggest concern is that for the first time in Nigeria's history, since 1960, or since the amalgamation of Nigeria in 1914, apart from the British colonial people, I don't think a foreign power has bombed Nigeria or threatened our sovereignty and territorial integrity as what, with regards to what happened on Christmas Day. We were expecting, like Joe said, the president to address the nation and assuage fears rather than have press releases from the Ministry of Information and Foreign Ministry. He didn't do that. And to travel in such unprecedented times in our nation leaves more questions to be asked. Nigerians are really wondering that what's really going on. Is it that the president doesn't care about things that are happening in his own nation? How do you leave a house that is seemingly on fire with this level of insecurity?
Good question, Winger. But let's see what Nigerians are saying very quickly. Let's see what Nigerians are reacting to concerning this story and what they have to say concerning the president's recent European trip, because that's the only way we can call it, a European trip. Mega Mixer puts a long one, replying the SSA to the president. Mr. Bayo Onanuga says, your statement regarding the departure of President Bola Tinubu for Europe is another masterclass in administrative opacity, typical of your press releases. By announcing that the president has left for Europe, a continent of 44 countries, without naming a specific host nation or city, your office is treating the movement of the head of state as a private holiday rather than a matter of public record. The president is a public institution and not a private citizen. Every hour spent outside Nigeria is on the public purse and time. Yet you have chosen to withhold the exact location of the commander-in-chief from the citizens who fund his office. The timeline provided in your release is equally problematic. You mentioned the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, which does not begin until 11 January 2026. This leaves a 14-day gap that the presidency has failed to account for beyond vague generalities. Historically, these non-specific trips to Europe have been synonymous with stays in France. If the president is in Paris for personal or medical reasons, The administration has a duty to be forthright instead of hiding behind geographical generalizations. This lack of transparency fuels speculation and undermines the institutional credibility of the State House. He goes on to say Nigerians deserve a precise itinerary that accounts for the logistical and financial costs of the presidential air fleet and security detail during this 2-week window. You must clarify if there are bilateral engagements scheduled before the UAE summit or if this is purely a private stay. Public trust is earned through clarity and respect for the right of the governed to know the status and location of their leader.
Absolutely, well said, well written.
This is also a masterpiece, so to say. Ubon Abia says, what is the meaning of end of the year break?
Exactly what it means.
It's an end of the year break.
Exactly, now you want to explain and pass.
What is the meaning of Europe? Is Europe the name of a country? What is Abu Dhabi Summit? When is Abu Dhabi Summit starting? When is it finishing?
Good
when
questions.
Is Tinubu returning to Nigeria? You tacitly avoided those questions because Bola Tinubu is going to see his medical doctors and does not know when he is coming back. Everything about this government is fake, no transparency. Well, this is how Ubong Abia feels, and it just shows you how.
And a number of Nigerians
too,
is echoing the sentiments of a number of Nigerians.
Mazi Oyopo says traveling out of the country when a foreign power has to intervene against a terror group slaughtering citizens. Does a man whose house is on fire chase rats? What are you hiding that you couldn't disclose to the country he is traveling to when he is going to UAE and returning back to Nigeria? That's this is a strong food for thought.
Pause there for a bit.
Yeah.
Traveling out of the country when a foreign power has to intervene against the terror groups. I hope what we're doing is not what we've done in terms of neglecting governance and then Nigerians begin to self-help. Because we've seen this with roads, bad roads, you buy SUVs, bad power, you go off grid, you get inverters and things like that. And this insecurity and the body language of the president not addressing the country, traveling, it could be interpreted as, okay, let the United States have a free reign. Let's outsource our security to them. And by doing that, you're diminishing the powers and you're diminishing the responsibility of the Nigerian armed forces who are well equipped and trained to deal with matters of internal and external security. Let's hope that's not where we're headed.
Well, let's see what Obeta says. Obeta says Tinubu uses every opportunity to sneak out of Nigeria. He was invited for a January summit in the Middle East, but he has already flown to Europe. He's just competing with Buhari in fairly and traveling. Well, that's how Obeta feels. He feels that traveling is too much. And that's all we're going to take. Well, that's a story that starts off the wake-up conversation. Feel free to drop a comment or two. We're streaming live on social media. We're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on X, we're on, you name it, you find us there.
One more thing. You remember when the president called off his travel to G20 after Nigeria, after Donald Trump called us a disgraced and
threatened boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground.
Yeah.
That was a threat. He has carried out the threat. You didn't travel when he issued a threat. He now carried out the threat. That's when you deem it free, which is worse.
You know why? Let me give you an example in the Bible. When Solomon had, God had sent the prophet to Solomon to warn him about what he had done. Solomon was in sackcloth, fasting, praying, crying, refusing food. The moment he heard that the child has died.
That's David, right?
He went, David, thank you. He went and had his bath because this was a child before Solomon was born.
Yeah.
So he went and had his bath. I said, give me food, make a chop. They said, is it not this one that has been crying since? Fasting, weeping, wailing. They said, when the child was alive, there was hope. Or when there was potential of the child to be alive, there was
life
hope.
Goes on.
But now the child has gone. What can I do? God has taken him. So,
fantastic analogy.
So you've looked at this whole situation. And
he was threatening now. So he has done his worst. Life is for the living. Let's go on.
Anyway.
Okay. Let's now move away from the president and come back to Nigeria and talk about some very, some would call it very annoying, but I don't know how you'd react to this. Pastor Chris Okafor of the Mountain of Liberation and Miracle Ministry has publicly apologized to Nollywood actress Doris Ogala, marking a dramatic twist in his scandal that's gripped social media for weeks. The controversy began when Ogala accused the pastor of breaking a promise to marry her, a betrayal she claims left her emotionally and financially wounded. In a series of fiery online posts, she demanded not just a public apology, but also a share of his company and financial compensation as conditions for forgiveness. Despite Pastor Okafor's apology delivered on his knees before his congregation, Ogala has continued to press allegations, including claims of explicit content and a $10,000 offer to silence her. The saga has sparked heated debates among about power accountability and the bloodlines between spiritual leadership and personal entanglements. Let's take a look.
Listen, we're not joining issues. Mistakes have been made in the past. And I tender apology to everybody. But everything that was said is not true. Everything, take note, everything that was said, never true. There are so many lies in most of the things that were said. But how be it, I say, I am sorry to everyone I've offended. To the Doris Ogala, I also say sorry, and I apologize to everyone that I've offended. And once again, I repeat this. I'm ready to make a restitution to anyone and anybody, any lady, anywhere, or man I've offended. I am sorry. Forgive me. I am not perfect. I've never been perfect. But I tell you, I've had a new beginning since the coming of these fathers of faith into my life. I'm kneeling down before everyone and before the church.
Okay, so these church members especially applauding, you know who they reminded me of?
Ooh.
All those people that used to clap anytime Wiki says one line, they will clap. You know, all those his followers.
I'm very sorry.
So I have a few
Those
questions.
are political hallelujah boys and girls.
That's a very valid. So the question, I have a number of questions. First of all, does this count as a proper apology? If you want to apologize, apologize. No, they apologize with tease. You know, apologize.
No, it's just his nature. He's born with it. So forget the tease. The tease, he has apologized.
A number of what they
Look
said,
at the content of what he's saying.
Secondly, apology is important because it leads to forgiveness. They can forgive you, but actions have consequences. Doris Ogala alleges that because of him, she was taken to prison. She was kept in Imo State CID 4 days before her brother's burial. She was kept in prison for 2 days. If those allegations are true, what can he do to make up for that? For making someone stay in prison, why?
No, is he the Inspector General of Police? Because I'm trying to understand what crime she committed and why she would be locked in prison. I'm just asking questions.
And that is why you need
because I know how the Nigerian police,
exactly,
how individuals, influential individuals can manipulate the Nigerian police to do their bidding. Was it not the same Nigerian police that arrested a child, an infant, and a mother in lieu of the father last week? So I won't put these things beyond
So
them.
of course the police have their responsibility to play. They have their blame in all of this. But I'm looking at the parties involved. Also, I think I did mention earlier that we need to start learning that their actions have consequences. You can't be in a relationship with someone for 8 years, give them the impression that you're going to marry them. Go ahead and marry someone else and expect that everything is just going to go kumbaya and that it's just going to be, oh, heartbreak as usual. People are saying, pull yourself together. You're not the first to be heartbroken. Because she made videos on social media saying that she's suicidal, that she wants to kill herself. People don't understand that there's something called heartbreak syndrome, that people can actually die from a heartbreak.
Very true. So, and it's happened.
Yeah, there are people who don't know how to deal with the pain.
Married people, they lose their better half. Yes. And then a few months later.
Then they go after that. So their actions, and actions have consequences. And very soon, sooner than later, I would love to see people getting damages for breach or failure of promise to marry. That's one.
But what's a reasonable timeline? Because how can you be dating someone for 8 years is a long time.
But Doris Ogala she also has a blame in all of this. Her blame is a number of the allegations she made against him were so strong. And the question was, if you knew this information about him, you stayed with him, you were willing to marry him, you're only bringing this information to the public because he's gone ahead to marry someone. You are an accomplice. If you're accusing him of criminal activities, she alleged that this altar, that they should dig into the altar and they will see some things. I don't know what is inside there, but whatever the allegation is, no matter how bad it is, you were aware of it and you were willing to go ahead. You covered him up. The moment he broke up with you and married somebody else, now all of a sudden he's a bad person and deserves to be exposed.
Hell hath no fury.
Like a woman's gone. But
they all have roles to play.
I can't. Who am I to have an opinion against a man of God or to talk about a matter of a man of God? I don't have any opinion.
And the final thing is, it would be great for us to start having structures where you are a man before you are a man of God, but actions have consequences and you can step away from the pulpit for a bit while this is happening. So you go and make peace with God and then you come back to do your duties. But let's head to X and see what Nigerians are saying.
All they said is you step away from the step away. Step away.
Did you not see the immediate past minister?
Well, in my own church, if anything happens, there's structures for discipline. But anyway, let's head to X. Ben Samuel says, let's be clear. This is not an apology. It's calculated damage control to soften the impact of what's already exposed. He carried the title of pastor while allegedly committing these horrific acts, all without his congregation's knowledge. He proceeded to try arresting Doris. It backfired. Allegedly sent $10,000 to make it go away, which backfired again, and only now issues this open apology. I firmly believe Doris should continue exposing the truth. His soul is for God to judge, but the victims and the public have a right to know how many lives he allegedly destroyed. Let's pause here before we go to the next tweet. Just to mention, there were other allegations of nude photos. In fact, one of the allegations
involved nude photos for who?
Involved his daughter. Guess what this man did? He brought his daughter to the pulpit and asked her, you are my daughter. I gave birth to you. You know me as your father. Have I ever touched you indecently? And he put the mic in her face. I wish we had that video. She said no. He said, no, repeat after me. Have I ever touched you indecently?
She said no. Like
he now on the pulpit. He now said, and if you lie, God will punish you. I was like, what is this? How can you even subject a child to this kind of public humiliation for your own reputation?
Really
Where do we draw the line? Eric Okafor says he didn't say what he's sorry for. Did he? He said he's sorry to all involved.
No, he didn't say anything.
He didn't even specify who he was apologizing to. It was generic.
Jeremiah says this is a rare and powerful moment of humility. No be small. Taking responsibility, apologizing openly, and doing so without excuses shows maturity and leadership. Let's pause. There was an excuse. It takes courage to admit mistakes, especially in public, and this gesture deserves acknowledgement. Hopefully, this apology brings healing, reconciliation, and peace to everyone involved. True leadership is not about never being wrong, but about having the humility to make things right when you are.
You know the immediate past minister of Science and Technology that said he went to UNN. Maybe he went to University of Nigeria in NASCO. Not to Suka. He didn't also apologize. Why do Nigerians have a problem with apologies with their full chest? How do you give a generic
apology like that? Let's take one more reaction from X and next. I thought we had one more.
Yes, we do.
Okay. They will keep manipulating you guys. Why did it take him this long to accept? They come to speak English to further confuse you guys. A pastor obviously fornicating and destroying the body of Christ. Which humility are you talking about, please? So that's why many people have raised eyebrows regarding the apology. Like, the moment she made these accusations, if you knew that there were elements of truth in what she was saying, why didn't you apologize from the jump? Why did it take having her arrested? VDM even stepped into the arena. VDM had threatened that if she wasn't released by a certain Tuesday after she was arrested, that he had all the explicit content sent to him by her and he was going to release it. So many people argue that it was because of that she was out. We don't know what the true position is. But after all the blackmailing and allegations...
I'm just shaking my head for Nigeria police in all of this.
In all of these things.
Yeah.
Like, they could use you to set the law wrongfully in motion against a citizen, an innocent citizen. But Nigerians, what do you say? At the end of the day, apologies and forgiveness is for God. Actions do have consequences, but you let us know what you think. Was that apology enough? Should we,
the question is, was that even an apology?
Exactly.
Because what are you apologizing for?
His church stood up and they were applauding. So
did you say, oh, listen, I did this?
Said it has hurt people. In general, humanity.
Okay,
he's even apologizing to us too.
Apology. It's a humanitarian apology.
Yes. Not to a specific
it's not to
person.
the issues.
Yeah.
And then again, a certain man of God also had a damning issue against him. But when he damned the consequences and he still continued, and the members said, oh, leave him alone. Don't touch not the anointed. He's right. The wife is wrong. The one who left, she's wrong. She's the one to blame, and so on and so forth. You think others will not follow suit? They follow suit. All these stories, I beg. Let's move ahead.
All right. On X, on YouTube rather, we're taking a few comments regarding this story. Mokuye Chukwemeka says anybody can just get up and become a daddy GO, no checks and balances. How do you really check and balance?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely. How? Because you can't decide
you got the call
who God has
look at Noah.
When God was calling me, we're not there.
I have a new one on my street that is disturbing me.
Sorry.
You should report to Lagos State Consumer Protection Agents. They will swing into action.
Regarding the earlier stories we see here, he said he should meet up with Doris. Prince Ajibade says he should meet up with Doris and sort things out with her without the cameras. 8 years na joke. He wasted 8 good years of her life. Doris too has her blame. She was complicit too in whatever happened. I completely agree with you. He said those people clapping remind me of Tinubu's data boys. May Jesus help his church. That's all I can see concerning Doris and Chris. Then regarding the traveling of the president, Annie Chinedu Brown says, you are traveling abroad amidst the attack. I'm beginning to think that America acted unilaterally. The story of collaboration is just a facade to save face and embarrassment. And Mokuye Chukwemeka says, Hope Uzodinma is always present. The people of Imo mean nothing to him when it comes to Tinubu's traveling. Joe, except for the state of emergency broadcast concerning River State, has the president spoken to Nigerians at any time? Does he care? And I bet that the president didn't transfer power to his vice. These are the comments on YouTube. Keep the comments coming and we'll visit YouTube all through the show to take them. But we unfortunately have to quickly head out now. Let's share with you our top stories and then we'll come back. We'll go straight into the show proper. This morning on Breakfast Central, President Tinubu faces backlash over Yahaya Bello's appointment to APC's reconciliation panel amid 80 billion naira EFCC probe. The U.S. to double down attacks on terrorist hideouts. We'll be looking at the impact of the U.S. missiles on civilian and communities. Rivers politicians, Wike urges supporters to stay resolute. And that is, of course, what has been happening in Rivers State. With even though Governor Sim Fubara has moved to APC, it doesn't seem like that's a sure card. The newspaper front pages will form a part of the show. Join us for all these and more. President Bola Tinubu is under intense scrutiny following his appointment of former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello to the All Progressives Congress APC National Reconciliation Committee. A move that comes while Bello is facing a staggering over 80 billion naira corruption probe by the EFCC. Critics say this appointment undermines Nigeria's anti-corruption efforts and sends a dangerous message about accountability in public office, and supporters argue that this is about party unity ahead of the 2027 elections. Joining us for this discussion is Executive Director, African Transparency Initiative, ATI, Comrade Taiwo Otitolaye. Good morning. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, and hello, listeners and viewers.
Good to have you here.
Morning, comrade.
Now, let's start with the obvious, comrade.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Very well. Thank you very much for asking. We hope you're good too. And we want to hear your thoughts regarding Yahaya Bello. He's under investigation. His investigation process by the EFCC have been criticized by many as moving at snail pace. If someone who's in the spotlight, not for the best reasons, and still is being investigated, has now been appointed by the president, what does that say?
The President Bola Tinubu has demonstrated that integrity no longer matters and that he is free as the president to provide cover for a corrupt public officer. Yahaya Bello was in hiding like a fugitive for several months, avoiding arrest from Economic and Financial Crime Commission until he finally showed up. The people of Kogi are in abject poverty due to Yahaya Bello's misrule for 8 years. So the Economic and Financial Crime Commission are charging him for 19 counts of corruption, over 80 billion. And the president wakes up one morning and appoints him to a national reconciliation of the All Progressive Congress. It shows that he has thrown accountability to the wind and is also using his own hand to destroy the work of the Economic and Financial Crime Commission. Because if a president say, okay, somebody that is under trial by the AFCC is fit to be appointed into a reconciliation committee, what is such a person going to reconcile? Corruption? So you can see that it's shocking that the president can go down to this level.
Now, comrade, if I may come in at this point, comrade, some will argue that, it's internal APC matters and that what the EFCC is doing is basically investigation. And the Nigerian constitution says you're innocent until proven otherwise, that people are just raising a lot of dust for nothing. What do you make of this line of argument? Are we making much out of nothing by raising these issues on this moral issues bordering on accountability?
There is a popular maxim, show me your friend and I will tell you who you are. Yahaya Bello's corruption is internationally known. You also could recollect his children, the school fee he paid in Abuja, running into several $1,000s from the Kogi State Commonwealth. The EFCC, why was he running away from the Economic and Financial Crime Commission? To give you the background, I am from Kogi State, Yagba Federal Constituency. So charity begins at home. So I'm not just raising dust. I know the pains of the people. Several workers, civil servants, we are receiving 15%, some 30%, some 45% of their salaries during Yahaya Bello's 8-year rule. These are corruptions. Nothing to show for the local government. So Yahaya Bello, we know it's from our finding, and the ATI, African Transparency Initiative, has done a thorough investigation. We have a case at the Economic and Financial Crime Commission against 5 local governments of Adavi, Basa, Dekina, Ida, and Yagba West. This local government, we are currently in the EFCC have adopted our petition. And what we found, the research we did on ground, shows it's pathetic. Shows the level of poverty, the level of how revenue, statutory allocations were being diverted even under the Ayabelo's government. So you are appointing such a person into a reconciliation. Is this good? Now, what is the president is saying? Economic and EFCC, stop the fraud. Also, will you, the EFCC now go to say, okay, the Ayabelo, who has been appointed as into the reconciliation committee, when he's having a meeting with the president, can the EFCC go to arrest him there? It is a huge cover-up. And his dirty activities during his time as governor, he was sponsoring talks, attacks. So this, for those who are arguing that it's just an allegation, we all know, and the evidences are there to show.
Okay. Mr. Taiwo, we'll go on a quick break, but when we come back, I'd like you to also touch on what you think about the EFCC boss, Mr. Olukoyede, who had said he was going to resign if Mr. Yahaya Bello, former governor of Kogi State, was not brought to book. And what does that do to the anti-graft agency as we speak now? But let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll touch on that. Welcome back. We're still talking on the recent appointment of a former Kogi State governor who is under the surveillance, or would say rather, under the eye of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. Our guest is Executive Director, African Transparency Initiative, otherwise known as ATI, Comrade Taiwo Otitolaye. Right before the break, I'd asked a question. My question was bordering on the EFCC boss, who had said he was going to resign if the former Kogi State governor was not brought to book. And it seems like that resignation hasn't happened, and yet the Kogi State governor is thriving, especially with some of the things in which he's doing right now, like he's been appointed. And
he's also been receiving defectors to the APC.
Exactly. So what's your take on how this rubs off on the anti-graft agency EFCC?
This is a very good development. It also supports the position of African Transparency Initiative. The EFCC chairman is saying that he has honor and integrity. He cannot be sitting over an anti-graft agency. And Yahaya Bello is under trial, 19 count charges, after running away like a fugitive for several months before he finally appeared. And the President Bola Tinubu, now I can't see. Well, you know the contents and what the background of the reconciliation committee should be. The person must have credibility. The person must have public, must appeal to the public in terms of being free from corruption. The person's attitude could be Yahaya Bello paraded killer squads in Kogi. One of such examples that such squad carried out was the burning to death of a PDP women leader. They locked him in a house. They set the house ablaze, and he was burned to death. Can you now say such a person has credibility to function in a reconciliation committee? In the All Progressive Party is telling us that it is just it is no different from the usual political party. When I was the General Secretary of the United Action for Democracy, we were warning the PDP then of politically motivated killing. I remember vividly that of Harry Hotspur in the Rivers. Bola Ige was also one of such things. Funshaw William. We warned them. Yet, Adwogbes came out to say the PDP will rule for 60 years. Today you can see now the law of karma is coming back. So also the All Progressive Congress Party is taking the dangerous path. And you can see Yahya Bello was hobnobbing with Sheikh Gumi in 2021. Sheikh Gumi came to Yagaland, where I hail from. I made a press statement then that the visit of Gumi was treading a dangerous path. 4 years later, you can see terrorism at its peak in Yagaland today. Kings were abducted, women were raped. So you can see that the chairman of the Economic and Financial Crime Commission is saying the right thing, because from our engagement with the EFCC of today, the EFCC is working because I have submitted 2 petitions. There was one other petitions. The executive secretary of that agency was invited, arrested. About 5 directors of that agency were arrested. The vendors of that agency were arrested. Now again, the Kogi 5 local governments, they have adopted our petition, and we are going to give them evidences, and they promise they will prosecute it. So I wholly support the resignation of the chairman of the EFCC. If Yahya Bello is not removed and allow the due process of law to take its course.
So wait, what's the worst that will happen if Yahya Bello is not removed? I do know that one thing we've seen with this current administration is that oftentimes when they take a step and there's public outcry and they see that people are not comfortable with that, they often listen and backtrack on that. But what if the presidency decides not to do anything and insists that Yahya Bello will remain? After all, Section 36(5) of the Constitution provides that he's innocent until proven guilty, and this is an internal party affair.
Well, the All Progressive Congress is a part of the country. It's an organization that is a subset of the Nigerian state. And citizens who must present themselves either for governance or for national assignments should be citizens that have integrity. And our campaign has just started. We press home until the President Tinubu can see that, integrity matters. National reconciliation of the party, of the ruling party. What image is the president projecting to the international community? Is saying, oh, I have the power, I have the might, I can present any character in a committee. Yahya Bello, who are those? Who will Yahya Bello reconcile with such of his past record? So we will press further until the president sees reason. And I know there are other groups inside and outside Kogi that are also towing the same line that we are towing. So we will press further and we will now tell the whole world that the APC cannot say. That was how the PDP was saying is family matter. Family matter, family matter. You know where the country is being led to now. And you also know what we are going through. So if it is internal matter, it affects the integrity of Nigeria within the Committee of Nations. So we press on until Yahya Bello is removed.
All right. As an indigene in Kogi, I don't know, we've been hearing rumors from the grapevine about the potential or the possibility of Yahya Bello signaling interest to run for Kogi Central Senatorial District. Can you confirm if this is true? And if this is, what would you say his chances are?
Well, he hears from the Central Senatorial District of Kogi. Even under his 8-year rule, his people still suffered what other senatorial districts suffered. And you can see the huge support for Natasha. You can see Yahya Bello as a sitting governor on the day of election. You see how he went with tractors and bulldozed the roads leading to Natasha's home. You can see the people still crossed that hurdle and voted immensely for Natasha. And you could see the election was rigged until the court brought Natasha back. So the people of Central Kogi districts, senatorial districts, know who they want to vote for. I cannot stop him or his party from presenting him, but we will continue to tell the whole world the character which Yahya Bello is made of.
All right. I want to say thank you so much, Executive Director, African Transparency Initiative, Comrade Taiwo Otitolaye, who has spoken to us about the plans and the movement the African Transparency Initiative is putting forth to ensure that the former Kogi State Governor is brought to book. Thank you so much for your time, and thanks for speaking with us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right. Away from that story, let's bring another one this time. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, is in the news. Now, he has urged his supporters not to be discouraged by the current political developments in Rivers State. Which political development, you may wonder? Well, is there another, something happening? Well, speaking at a public function in the state, Wike reaffirmed his unwavering support for the Bola Tinubu-led administration, insisting that his political position remains unchanged. Biola Festus, our correspondent, reports.
The FCT minister was in Ahoda alongside the PDP Caretaker Committee Chairman, Abdurrahman Abba, and other Rivers elders to attend an end-of-year Thanksgiving ceremony organized by Chibudum Wuche. At a meeting with Rivers elders, Wike commended his political support groups for remaining steadfast despite the evolving political landscape, assuring them that greater opportunities lie ahead in the coming year.
Party leaders are here. We are watching. But what I want to let all of you know, don't be panicked. We have seen this before. It will continue. But at the end of the day, God will be on our side.
The celebrant, Chibudum Wuche, showered praises on Wike, describing him as central to his political journey and successes.
It was only under Nyesom Wike that Ekpe had any projects, both east and west. The dynamic minister of the FCT, who has transformed Abuja the way he transformed River State. It shows that River State wasn't a happenstance. It's the man's character. Wherever he goes to, he brings dynamism, leadership, foresight.
The minister later visited the River State Assembly quarters, where members of the State House of Assembly hosted a reception in his honor.
Your Excellency, we thank you because you on your own decided to come. And that is what is interesting, and that is what is unique, and that is why we are so excited.
Addressing the wave of defections to the All Progressives Congress, Wike said he and his supporters were among the first opposition figures to openly support President Tinubu, even when it was politically unpopular.
All these people now you are seeing, and the amount they will start that time, when they were needed most, they couldn't see that. They couldn't come out to say, vote for Ahmed Bola Tinubu. Now that you stood and voted for him, and River State won, I tell you, all your struggle will not go in vain.
He also cautioned Rivers lawmakers to remain vigilant, warning them against politicians he described as being interested only in exploiting the state's resources. In Rivers, For News Central, Biola Festus.
And now let's talk security. The United States has resumed surveillance flights over the Sambisa Forest just days after launching airstrikes on Islamic State fighters in Sokoto State. The ISR intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance missions are reportedly targeting ISWAP strongholds in the northeast, particularly around the Sambisa Forest, a long-time insurgent enclave.
This isn't just about foreign aircraft in Nigerian airspace, but what this says about Nigeria's capacity to tackle terrorism and the implications of U.S. involvement in our internal security operations. Join us to unpack this and what it means for Nigeria's fight against insurgency. Our principal partner, Monarchy and Associates Consulting, Akikumi Von Thomas, and the Corps Commandant General of the Neighborhood Enlightenment and Safety Organization, NESO, a counter-terrorism and counterinsurgency organization, Dr. Sani Aliu, joins us live from our studios in Abuja. One welcome to you, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us on the program.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank you for having me in the program this morning. Good morning, Nigerians.
Well, glad to have you. I'll start with Mr. Von Thomas in the studio here with us. Last week, we witnessed something unprecedented. Never in the history of Nigeria as a foreign country dropped weapons or bombs in our territory. The Nigerian government framed it as a partnership against Boko Haram. The damage assessment we've seen so far was that some buildings were hit. We still don't have any information on if the terrorists were neutralized and if any high-value terrorist targets were hit. But some have said it's a stain on our sovereignty and it questions the capabilities of the men and women of the Nigerian Armed Forces. What's your take on the events of Christmas Day?
Well, like we've been on the trend of professional skits as we are in Nigeria, with the amount of agencies we have that ought to give us specifications on what has happened. We have even the social media overlapping those responsible for us in this country. So why I call it a professional skit is the fact that till now, we can't say precisely what has happened in our own country. It shows that we don't have it all together when it comes to the administration and report for Nigeria. Where it leaves us is where we've been, which is where a lot of drama will play right before us. We'll have all the proof. People cannot be arrested. Nobody will take responsibility. We'll talk about it all in the news, and at the end of the day, it passes again because we have all been entertained. So it's still just a professional skit. We have the proofs. They say here and there. You'll not believe it. Nobody has taken it public enough to give account of what has happened exactly. So it still remains a skit.
All right, let's now bring in Dr. Ali into the conversation. ISR flights have resumed again. What would you say this reveals? Would you say that, again, this highlights some measure of cooperation between both countries, or does it reveal the gap in our nation's security system?
Well, first of all, I would say thank you for having me on this program and compliment of the season.
Same to you.
Sad enough, we need to, like I said earlier in our later conversation, that I'm not comfortable with this whole arrangement, American involvement in our internal issues, because what they will do at the end of the day, they will deepen hatred and cause more crisis in us and leave us like that and go back. Because the message they sent is a very wrong signal message. First of all, if they want to be honest with their campaign of countering terrorism in Nigeria, we have two epicenters, one epicenter of terrorism and one epicenter of banditry in Nigeria. Maiduguri, but the Borno state, is the epicenter of terrorism in Nigeria, with over 2,000 ISIS and over 3,000 ISWAP and over 5,000 Boko Harams. And when you come to the northwest, you have Zamfara, the epicenter of banditry in Nigeria. The next to it is Katsina. Sokoto came third. Now, what is in Sokoto? Are there bandits in Sokoto? You have the Lukrawas that are between Sokoto and Kebbi State. What is their population? Less than 200. Why do they choose Sokoto to strike on a Christmas day? Is it to cause disaffection between the Muslims and the Christians in Nigeria? That on Christmas Day, they are hitting the caliphate of Islamic Caliphate of Nigeria? These are something we have to be very, very careful with and be very, very wary about. And this is what I've been calling earlier, that America do not have the clear narrative of Nigeria. Otherwise, most of the assertions of President Trump wouldn't have been so. Because if you look at the sentiment they are creating, is Christian genocide in Benue and in Plateau. Meanwhile, it is a very long existing crisis between herders and farmers in Benue and the Plateau. And until we go back and understood this thing very well and get to the root cause of this crisis and see how we can handle it, that's why I keep saying Nigerians have the capacity to handle this crisis. We don't need an American government to come into us. Look at what they just did. Look at the arrogance of President Trump saying he commanded an operation in Nigeria. So does that mean that Nigeria have two commander-in-chiefs? One commander-in-chief in America and the other commander-in-chief in Tinubu in Nigeria? And this thing happened. Up till now, there is no official statement from the presidency. What is the message that is sending to us as Nigerians? Do we really have government in this country? How can America come and override our government? How can America take decision in Washington and then start hitting Nigerian side? If there is anything called military cooperation, I think it should be between the defense chief of American military and the defense chief of Nigeria, and they should work under the close supervision of our commander-in-chief, President Bola Tinubu, and not American president. For all intent and purposes, Nigeria is a sovereign state because, for goodness sake. So we cannot fold our arms and see Americans come and be taking decisions on how we maintain peace and order and security in our country. It is not done anywhere in the world. This is not an applicable situation. It is a very sad situation that I think we have to review this arrangement. It's either we go by what is actually obtainable, that the president of Nigeria remain the commander-in-chief of the armed forces of Nigeria and is the only one that can give order for such strike to happen in Nigeria, not American president. This is very sad. I'm very sad. I'm very worried. It's very disturbing. And it's going to create a lot of disaffection between the Muslims and Christians in Nigeria. We have been living over the ages as brothers and sisters in many Muslim homes in the north. They have Christians who say there are no Hausa Christians, who say there are no Fulani Christians. All right. We have all this in minority. And even though you go to Jos, Plateau State, who say there are no Plateau indigenous, there are Muslims. If you go to Benue, who say there are no chiefs that are Muslims, who say there are no Idoma people that are Muslims. We have managed our diversity.
Let's now bring in
understand our narratives. We understand our unity, and this has been the worry point of many Western world, including America. That how is Nigeria able to manage all this diversity? There is this religious sentiment. There's this tribal differences, a lot of differences. Yes, we are able to contain our problem.
All right, Dr. Aliyu, I think we hear where you're coming from, but just in the interest of us trying to make the best out of the little time we have, let's have Mr. Von Thomas as well speak to some of the things that you've said, and let's see if we're all on the same page. All right, Mr. Von Thomas, please go ahead.
Well, bringing up the issue of a religious misconception of what is happening due to Trump's assertion that he has made a move. I stand my ground not to be confused with either the caliphate or it being a confusion between Christians and Muslims. That's not what we are onto. What we are onto is the fact that Trump is making a statement that should be confronted, and the government ought to sit up to tell us exactly how does the U.S. government come to say what he's saying. Does he have your permission or he doesn't? And our president standing up for us enough to say, this is the situation we have at hand. This is what the United States has offered. And I, as the one in charge of this country, this is my stand. These are the steps I've taken. I think that will douse a lot of confusion. But the more we begin to try to see, like, I know U.S. made a statement concerning a religious genocide to use it as a startup. But where we should focus on is the leading party of the country should sit up to tell us this is where we were before we were confronted.
But Mr. Von Thomas, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. As we speak at this moment, the Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces is on his way to his end of year break and is in Europe, and he has not addressed the country. What we've been getting is statements from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Even the defense headquarters has not addressed Nigerians. Do you think much more is expected from a commander-in-chief, and he should have at least stole his holiday and that meeting that is going to attend the conference in Abu Dhabi, which starts on the 11th of January?
As a veteran, you will take it as a joke that I'm bringing on the statement that we are on a professional skit. Psychological warfare is reigning in Nigeria. Those that are in charge of what they want us to see, they are doing it. They don't care how it is. You can see how they can't efficiently stand up for the country enough to say, this is what is wrong, this is what we are doing, and this is how it has to be. But what they have drawn as an agenda, which it's too open. Anybody that is in Nigeria knows there are sets of persons that have drawn up a strategy or an agenda, and they are carrying it out specifically. The only thing they can say, even if somebody like US wants to come in, is to try to defend the fact that somebody outside wants to interrupt. I'm not saying the way he's going about it is okay, you understand? But I'm saying this is all a skit. The script is already clear. And what we should sit up to...
What's the end goal of that script? Are we outsourcing national security to a foreign country? Is that what we're doing?
It was just mentioned now that we should be careful that the caliphate, it infers that maybe the Muslim side of the country, one thing or the other. We are already afraid. I said it here the other time that the people that are part of that religion, that these people that are terrorists are claiming to be part of, they don't have a stand-up for our sake to say, no, that is not what our religion is all about.
Yeah, I mean, quite a number of them have been condemning these attacks, and a lot of the victims of terrorism have also been adherents of the Islamic faith. So a number of them have quite been condemning them. And there's also the factor of, let's leave everything to God. God knows best. That's why some of the messaging is not amplified.
What I'm inferring is very simple. Regardless of how they show it to be political, we have the Islamic State very strong on something happening. Nobody, let me come out straight. I don't know if it's only me that is knowing that in the northern state or the part where we show off these terrorists, they carry rifles live and direct. Nobody is coming from the fact that I am in Lagos now and I don't have the right to carry rifle. What is happening? Are we in a different part of the country where some people are permitted to carry rifle, civilians, and we are saying we want to negotiate with them? When I say it is a skit or psychological warfare, we at this part, the southern side and the western side and every other side, we are seeing a set of people can freely brandish rifle. And we are going there to negotiate with them. Who is in charge of this country? We're not children.
Well,
we're not children.
Let's go back to Dr. Liu. Dr. Liu, I mean, I know you said you're not a supporter of having an international organization or country coming to our own soil. But then again, don't you think that there's been laxity of some sort, especially from the government? That's why it has opened its borders and made it free for even, I mean, by the way, even Israel is, you do have other countries, I beg your pardon, who are also speaking up. There's a story of Turkey, there's a story of Israel, and it seems like Nigeria is now on the spotlight. Everybody is interested and they want to have either a piece of the pie or they just want to front and flex their muscles, as it were. But don't you think that as a country, we should also look at the positive side of saying thank you to the United States for taking the bull by the horn and deciding to do what Nigeria has not done in a long time?
Well, the issue here is we have to be very careful. I keep sending a very strong signal. You think yourself Nigeria, me, I think myself Africa. First, I am a Nigerian, and I know Nigeria is the beacon of Africa, without which the black man has no space in this world again. Nigeria is a very, very central part of the black man existence in this globe. And so, and Nigeria has a lot of resources, human resources, and whatever you want to say. The interest of Nigeria is the interest of Nigeria in the heart of the Westerners and Americans is not about how to get Nigerians unification or how to get their Nigerian growth. If you think the America is interested in your growth or your peace, I think you have to have your head to rethink. There is none of them that want our progress. I'm telling you, because we have all the potential to become one of the great countries in the world. Nigeria, if given this peace and security we want, we are going to be the leaders of the African bloc, just like Russia and is the leader of Eastern Bloc, and then you have China as the leader of Asian Bloc. So this politics and this is a very, like my other colleagues said there, it's a very scripted game. We all know what is happening. What I'm still trying to, this your television, we are using it as a medium to reach out to Nigerians, to sensitize Nigerians that we don't have any other country other than Nigeria. And that what is happening in the north, let the western end and the southern end not think that it is only happening in the north and it's not going to spread to them. It's like a cancer. It's going to eat up this country. What is happening in the north will certainly snowball back to the west and the eastern part of this country. So we must be careful. We must be our brother's keeper. We must come together at this critical time and improve on our unity and leave all our differences to build a stronger nation. These people are not here to help us. They are not our friends. I keep telling you.
Sorry to butt in, but the Nigerian military says this is a joint operation with the United States. So don't you think they're already doing something to prevent it from snowballing and spreading? Because if they're already working together hand in hand, it means that we should expect an end soon.
What work? What work hand in hand? How are they working hand in hand? I have just told you that the epicenter of terrorism in Nigeria is Maiduguri. What have the Americans done there? Is it not the ISIS and the Israel they are supposed to attack first? Why are they attacking a place that is just run by bandits and a few less than 200 people that are already classified as Lakurawa, that are classified as a part of the Al-Qaeda or something, and ISIS? We have the epicenter of terrorism in Nigeria, in Maiduguri. I expect America, if they are sincere about what they say they want to do, they should have strike in Sambisa Forest, not Sokoto on a Christmas day. It's a wrong signal. I still insist that the American doesn't mean good to us. They want to cause disaffection within the citizens of this country. And the earlier we start talking about it, so that our people in the north will know it, and our people in the south will understand it. Both the northern Christian, both the southern Christian and Muslims, they should come together and understand that what that strike, American strike, is sent a wrong signal to us. We should not take it. We should just see it on the surface. It does not represent the thought of the Nigerian Muslim, nor the mind of the Nigerian Muslim, nor does it represent the mind of Nigerian Christian, nor the thought of Nigerian Christian. It is absolutely American agenda. It was there that Nigeria had to disintegrate in 2015. It is by God's grace in 2023 on our roundtable that we are able to avert that. But they are still on it. They still are insisting that Nigeria must disintegrate. And it is high time we start talking this thing openly so that our people will know that we need ourselves better than any other thing. Nigeria must not allow Nigeria to go, because Nigeria is our vertebra, is the vertebra of Africa, without which the black man has no space, I insist, in this globe again.
All right, Dr. Lee, just before my colleagues go on with the other question, and also the in-house studio guests, rather, I also wanted to highlight that, I mean, there's a security brief, or rather still an information, that the target in Sokoto was a gathering point for some of these insurgents, or in quotes, terrorists, who were planning to go all out, especially this period of time during the festive season, and America got that intel. I mean, you're also a security expert. Did you get that intel? I'm also going to push that narrative to our in-house studio guest. So let me go to him first, and maybe if you did have that intel, I want to highlight that maybe in subsequent answers. I don't know if you got that intel, Mr. Von.
Yes, I have it.
All right. He's saying, Dr. Ali is saying that he doesn't appreciate the fact that they went to bomb Sokoto, a wrong coordinate, a wrong place. They should have started with Sambisa, even though we hear that there's surveillance right now in Sambisa. But do you agree that, according to the intel, there was a clarification that there was a gathering in Sokoto where they were planning to carry out a major
what I agree with is not even as important. This is Mohammed Idris here, the Honorable Minister of Information and National Orientation. He said that what was found out was that they had a bigger plan of what they wanted to carry out, and that was what the U.S. attacked. Let's come back to what we are suffering. The way Nigeria is divided now to every lay person is the fact that in Lagos, I cannot wear military uniform, carry AK-47 and walk around. Get my picture. But it is happening in the other sides of Nigeria, and we are carrying government and camera and representative and negotiators to go and visit them and talk to them. Is it one country or another country? That's the psychological warfare I'm talking about. So it's something that some people are in charge of. We are just played along, and we don't have a choice. They carry rifles, they wear military, they wear police uniforms, they carry rifles, and they sit down, they make noise, they have bikes, they have sponsors. We have a script of people they say they are sponsoring them. They've not said anything so far.
Again, boils down to the conversation about political will. But let's hold on.
We lack of seriousness.
Exactly. We haven't quite exhausted this conversation. There's still more to go. We want to break, and when we come back, we have more questions for our guests. Please stay with us. Welcome back to Breakfast Central. We're still analyzing the U.S. involvement regarding the December 25th attack and what the implications are for Nigeria's security architecture. We're joined this morning by the principal partner, Monarchy and Associate Consulting, Akinkunmi Von Thomas, who is in the studio with us. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you.
And we're also joined by the Corps Commandant General at Neighborhood Enlightenment and Safety Organization, NESO, and Counter-Terrorism and Counter-Insurgency Organization, Dr. Sani Aliyu, who joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you very much for being here, Dr. Aliyu. Now with you, to you, Dr. Ali, you've talked about how you're strongly against the United States involvement and how the U.S. doesn't have the best of intentions in helping us combat our insecurity challenges. The Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces is currently not in the country, and I wonder if that speaks to to any body language, or if that sends across a signal of how prepared, how ready we are to fight against this. Recall that when the threat was made, he cancelled his trip. He was meant to go to Brazil, and he cancelled his trip as a result of the threat by Donald Trump. The threat has now been carried out, and then he's left the country to Europe. Does this mean anything, or is it really much ado about nothing?
Well, first of all, before I even comment on that, I would like to remind my co-discussant on this program that the northern states are not the first people to be going on uniform with branded rifles on the streets in Nigeria. It has the beginning. I remember vividly well in 2001 in Museum Center, Lagos. I make a presentation that was during the erstwhile President Olusegun Obasanjo, when there was campaign of OPC in Western Nigeria. And I said in that program that government can never legalize illegality. Illegality must be treated with all seriousness, because this that is happening in Lagos will come up in other regions of the country. Thereafter, immediately after, we now have what is called the militants in the south. The militants, we are branded with uniforms, with guns and everything, AK-47 bombs, bombing up our oil pipeline and all those things. And I remember vividly well in that paper, I made caution that this thing will have a replica, a similar thing in other parts of the country. And during Jonathan, I re-emphasized that the government is still having romance with militants, calling them militant generals, going to Abuja to take coffee and tea and discuss with our president, and so on and so forth. And at the end of the day, although Yaradua started a program called, how to bring them out of the militancy, and rehabilitation program. So, and I was scared that the Northerners should not emulate what is happening there, because if they see there is gain in violence, they will be going around bombing every place on the street clearly, in the name of that when they die, they will go to heaven because of lack of proper education. I made these warnings. Coming back to what is happening at the moment, that Nigeria was attacked by the American administration, or a part of Nigeria is a place called Sokoto State in Nigeria was so attacked in representing that they are attacking the Boko Haram, the bandits over there. And under this attack, our president did not make any official statement to the Nigerians to calm the Sokoto citizens down. There's no problem. It is the cooperation between them and America. He didn't make any such statement and go for his holidays. And now he's gone out of the country for conference. Does not actually speak very well. I must be candid to that. And we expect more from our President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, that he should carry Nigeria in his heart. We know how he was part of the struggle for Nigerian democracy. And we should think, as this time that God has given him the leadership of this country, he should lead this country in the way he can bequeath this country to others, not a way that the country will disintegrate. Please, I am calling on President Ahmed Bola Tinubu to, as a matter of urgency, wherever he is, he can make a statement and send to Nigeria and condole the families whoever it was affected, whether by collateral damage or whatever you want to call it, or the trauma that happened to the innocent citizens of Sokoto State because of the attack. At least he should show some signs of remorse and then explain to Nigerians that it means well to Nigerians. It is not about religion. It does not speak it. It doesn't take the route that Americans are coming to defend Christians in Nigeria, and therefore they start attacking the center of Islam in Nigeria. So I think there is a lot for us to engage our people to discuss more. I know why I'm being blunt on this program, because if I don't speak like this now, there's a lot going on in the heart of our northerners, especially the Muslims, that the American has come, and this is going to de-radicalize more people. It's going to make easier recruitment, because people that ordinarily are not in support of this terrorist or in support of this bandit will start saying, okay, they are going to do this, do that to support the religion, because it's the fight of religion now, is fight for finish. This is the mindset that we are trying to disabuse. And please, I'm talking to my northern brothers and Muslims. Do not take Trump's word that he's coming to defend Christians. Trump doesn't defend Christians. If Trump wants to defend Christians, what has he been doing in Palestine and other places that are more the root of Jesus Christ is Palestine? What has he done about them? Has he stopped the genocide over there? So we should not listen to Trump's moving statement, because he doesn't know the kind of sentiment, the kind of mindset of the Nigerian people, especially the northern people. So
thank you very much, Dr. Liu. Because we have to manage time and get as much as possible, I'd like to come to our guest in the studio. Mr. Von Thomas, Dr. Liu raised some very salient points about the origins of, this civilians carrying weapons. He talked us through OPC, the militants, and now it's almost like a franchise. The bandits in the north have bought into it. And how do we deal with this issue? That's why we're here in the first place. The United States government decided to, President Trump framed it as he's like a shield of Christianity, religious persecution, perfect strikes. But some of these perfect strikes, let's come to the perfect strikes. They were launched from maritime platforms in the Gulf of Guinea. MQ-9 Reaper drones were launched. Tomahawk cruise missiles were fired from U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyers positioned in the Gulf of Guinea. How effective and what's the damage assessment are these airstrikes? We've seen the United States government use airstrikes against Al-Shabaab targets, more than 100 in this year alone, but that hasn't degraded their capacity in any way. So how effective could airstrikes be in dealing with this terrorism problems without having boots on the ground from a military perspective and security perspective?
There is an internal conspiracy in place, and the manipulation of minds. You see, the foot soldiers, what can influence them from what Trump is doing is when they get incited to see him not as an objective ally, but somebody that has come to insult our own sovereignty.
And also appeal to his evangelical base back home. Yes, politics.
Yes. Then Trump cannot claim to have anything to do with Christianity. The business angle of it is sure. But come back to Nigeria, which is our platform. They are responsible for us to tell us what is happening, in the sense that, okay, this person exaggerates over a sovereign state like we are, and has made this proclamation, as our leaders have not come out to speak. Who is leading us? Who is guiding us? And how safe are we? Now, the current insecurity we are dealing with that has to be with the steering of Trump has to come from the Islamic side. And that is this wearing of uniform thing I'm talking about and carrying rifles. But one cogent thing that we should focus on is the manipulation of people's mind, which is they can be educated wrongly. Like now, nobody know, if you meet Nigerians on the road now, some people are saying they want Trump to do what he's doing because Nigeria has been careless and not been able to do anything. Another set of persons are saying, look, Trump is coming for business. And the business can start with the fact that when Nigeria disintegrates. Another side is just afraid that trouble is about to erupt in Nigeria and we don't know the way forward. But where is the leadership? What we should receive formal education about now is the upcoming election, the politics of what is running.
But we've been getting, I mean, the leadership has been releasing statements, and I'm sure my colleagues can testify to it. In the last 48 hours after that attack, do you know how many foreign ABC in all the way in Australia? Our Prime Minister was on Sky News, it was on CNN, it was on ABC. Why is the messaging to the international press? When Dr. Aliyu raised a very salient point that, look, you need to assuage the fears of Nigerians, you need to install confidence in them. You talk about the seat of the caliphate in Sokoto, that this is not, don't listen to what Donald Trump is saying. They need to own the narrative and say this is not an attack on Muslims in Nigeria. But the senior government officials are busy talking to Sky News, CNN, Al Jazeera, ABC, TRT in Turkey. Why is it that they don't like to speak to address us? They should be on Breakfast Central.
Because we are not important. The masses don't come into consideration when it comes to Nigeria. When you are able by politics to own that leadership front, you disregard the people that bring you in. Then the same people, what I understand by manipulation and mind manipulation is the fact that these same masses that are disregarded now, when you want a change of government, you know what to do to them because they are uneducated. You know what to do to them to make them vote you back on, and you continue the horse riding. So education over manipulation is very important in the country right now. Beyond the fact that you tell them that, don't worry, this is not what is happening, Nigerians have to own up to intelligence. I don't want to say it generally, but it's like we're not educated about anything. Any script that is thrown to us is what we dance with. Everybody literally now, and one thing, for all of us that are feeling cool, where people are not wearing military uniforms and carrying AK-47 now, and we think it's very far.
Dr. Aliyu said it.
It's coming so close, so near that the same thing that is holding there is what will hold. Let me tell you the 3 points.
Let's hope it doesn't get to that.
The 3 pictures of what is happening there is suddenly they saw people with uniforms and rifles. And they found out that this is my brother. This is my brother. This is my brother. Those people were won over. They were manipulated into that group. It was not that they all traveled down, but they brought mercenaries to train, to equip one way or the other. Now, when they do that, when the military wants to come in, second point, when they want to come in, the people on ground already know their cousins or brothers that have joined these sets of persons. So using these people as human shields, when you come into the community and you say you want to infiltrate and take care of them, you want to get out those that are terrorists, you understand? The same civilians
the intel gets to
will hide them, will hide them and say, no, I'm not going to point a finger. These people are not hidden over there. Their pictures, their names, everybody knows them over there. So the same way it is happening there, it will come here if we don't sit up to educate ourselves on what is needed immediately. So what is needed immediately now is how do we counter this psychological operation
and
that is
decisive
ongoing.
leadership. Yeah,
that's it.
Okay, let's go back to Dr. Aliyu. Dr. Aliyu, so what would you highlight as the most important thing to be done by the Nigerian government, seeing that the United States has resumed its surveillance? They are tracking, they are checking. What will be the next step, especially for the Nigerian government, if they need to take charge of this situation? Bear in mind that Nigerians have, I mean, a cross-section of Nigerians by our rating shows that a huge percentage of Nigerians are applauding the United States for coming in to do the work.
Well, when you say a huge percentage of Nigerians applauding, I beg to disagree because you never carried out census.
Well, Dr. Ali, the census, you could check it, you could carry out the census yourself. I mean, you could ask the people around you. For us, we've also looked at the data as well. There is also a daily, a newspaper. Members of the press have also done that. And very soon we'll be talking to our reporter who equally spoke to a few persons who have also applauded the move. So we're not just talking, we are talking with data and facts.
Well, I think if you want to get the pulse, you should go where the thing is happening. Don't go and do the interview in the West or in the South. Come to the North. Carry out your conversation, because these are the place, this is the epicenter, this is where the trouble is, this is where it is happening now. Size the mindset of the people here, whether they agree with what you are saying. We believe that the government can be able to take over this situation if they are serious about it. What we are insisting is the government should say thank you to America, go back, we will handle this situation. And we as an organization, like I said, NESO, Neighborhood Enlightenment and Safety Organization, we know everything about this, what is happening, and we are here to help the government to fight it out. In fact, we have been doing so. We have been helping the military. So over 10 years, we have been helping the defense in terms of this fight. But we need a better support. We need to be grounded, just like NSCDC was grounded by Obasanjo during the vandalization scandals in Nigeria. This is terrorism. We have been on ground over 10 years. The Tinubu administration should give us an agency as counter-terrorism agency, and then let the military come behind as support, and let them see if it will take us 18 months to clear this problem, because we like this man says, that most of the people that are known in their area, the people, some of the Boko Harams, some of these bandits, of course, they didn't come from heaven. Even though we know there are outside influence from Mali, from Burkina Faso, from Chad, from Cameroon, from Niger, we know we have external influences, but it is something that we can use non-kinetic aspect to deal with. Of course, like I said on the other program, kinetic aspect must go pari passu with non-kinetic aspect. You need to reach out to these people. You need to talk to them. You need to educate them. You need to see their problem, understand what is making them do this. You empower them, enlighten them, and give them jobs and create education for them. Give them health centers. Let government presence be there. Let me tell you, I carried out a tour the other time to Sokoto. Many communities in Sokoto do not have what is called government presence. You will not even see a simple police station in the whole of a very large locality, governed by many people in that place and space. You will not see a police station, not even a single police post. What kind of society are we running, for goodness sake? So let government come, let's create this organization. And already, like I said earlier, we have over 70,000. We are almost in every community in Nigeria. The whole 36 states, there is no place we don't have our presence in most hamlets and communities. And we understand the narrative, the grassroots. We must go back to the root cause of this problem. We must mend defenses. We must deal with the root cause of this problem. We must activate that aspect of non-kinetic solutions, how to resolve these issues. Go back to the basis, go back to the root. We cannot be putting medicine, on the already cancerous wound at the border of the wound. We must treat it from the root. This is what we are saying. So the government should actually have a course to call experts together so that we look at the problem of this country and solve it. We have the capacity to solve it. We have the education, we have the population, we have the financial capacity, and we should know that we need a country called Nigeria, so that those benefits that our leaders have benefited, the people like the President of Nigeria and the rest of them, should be bequeathed to the generations yet unborn and the generations to come. So we need, it is a responsibility on us and the government to keep this country safe for Nigeria and for Africa.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aliyu. I'll come to Mr. Van Thomas in the studio. Just before we begin to wrap up this conversation, we learn a lot from history, and history has told us, especially post-Second World War, that there's nowhere in the world, and I stand to be fact-checked, that the United States has intervened militarily and they turned out good for it. So that should be our watchword. Having said that, now that the first strike has been carried out and the messaging from the United States government is that we're likely to see more cooperation, they frame it as cooperation and attacks. What sort of assistance do we need, and how do we manage this, knowing that Nigeria is a very ethnically sensitive and religious sensitive federation, in a way that we actually deal with the issue? And they say that, you know, there's no free lunch, even in Freetown. The cost of one Tomahawk cruise missile, we do know what the United States is expending and what they might want in return for this. So how do we deal with this issue decisively and this partnership with the United States in a way that we keep our sovereignty, and it's in a way that it's a win-win situation for all parties involved?
Well, for all parties involved, the people we elect to the sensitive positions of what it takes to give us security in Nigeria, their profiles, when you look at it, does it give place for a fair hearing of things that are happening, or it is lopsided? If it is lopsided with those that are elected to be in those positions, they should be changed. They should be changed. I don't know how they can bring about a committee that will bring about, you know, where one or two people will compete on it and they choose who is fair, which is every side of the country will have an input on how the persons are elected. That aside, the National Assembly need to be wary, because their dancing and enjoyment will not be for long. The same masses that are not yet educated, if we can find room for them to be educated of how they are being used and how the loss of everything affects them first, it empowers them to decisively know how they come in when it comes to choices of leaders. That education is very important. Then our judicial executives, toothless dogs could be better. But the fact is, their empowerment, as in how they've been empowered to make laws to stand in place, to guard the nation, it needs reviews. They need to review all these things, because it seems everybody that enters into a party system that is in power, they are ruled by the notion of how everything comes from that same party. If the party dances to the left, they dance to the left. If they dance to the right, they dance to the right. And for now, if part of the people that are meant to be protecting us are going on holiday, our president is not coming out to talk, the masses should be charged to know. Because I scripted something yesterday. I said the bottleneck between the masses and wrong leadership are those the masses entrust with their intelligence. What does that mean? Like, if I'm a leader now, if I'm wrong or not, and I have money, I will look for somebody that the masses can listen to, regardless of my agenda. Once he's been given enough money, the masses that ought to be thinking before they choose or elect about their welfare and about their future, that same person, the little he has, he sprinkles it over, like money or whatever, and they dance to it, and we suffer. So, you see, even the masses we want to protect, it's a pity I'm part of them. What we are suffering, we enthroned it.
We allowed it.
We allowed it. And we're suffering from it for now. If education can come to place to make us know our power, and when we enthrone these people into leadership, how we cannot call it off until their terms run out, and is the country becoming better? Imagine somebody from CBN or people that know about finances coming up to tell us that our oil, our wealth is going this way. They didn't say it behind the screen. They came out to say it. But their information as intelligence as it was not used. And we are where we are now.
Thank you so much. I'm afraid we've run out of time on this conversation. I'd like to say a very big thank you to our studio guest in Abuja, the Commandant General at Neighborhood Enlightenment and Safety Organization, NESO. And thank you so much, Dr. Sani Aliyu, and also the Principal Partner, Monarchy and Associates Consulting, Akikumi Von Thomas, and a senior expert of the Nigerian Military School, Zaria. I would like to say a big thank you, to you. Always a pleasure speaking with you. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, it will be time for Breakfast Headlines. Do stay with us. Breakfast Headlines.
How am I going to go back to the island?
Thanks for staying with us here on Breakfast Central. Let's take a look at the headlines and the top stories for this hour. Let's begin right away with our very first story. We'll begin with security matters. A United States lawmaker says President Donald Trump is focused on ending what he describes as the slaughter of Christians in Nigeria. Congressman Riley Moore said recent U.S. airstrikes on terrorist enclaves in Sokoto, were carried out in coordination with the Nigerian government, not as a unilateral action. In a post on X, Moore stressed that the strikes were intended to help Nigeria secure its territory and stop repeated attacks on Christian communities. He noted that the airstrikes launched on Christmas Day targeted militants accused of attacking Christians during the festive season in previous years. Moore described the operation as a significant first step toward addressing insecurity and religious violence in Nigeria. Staying with security matters, former Sokoto State Governor and Senator representing Sokoto South, Aminu Tambuwal, has appealed to residents of Jabal District to remain calm and continue supporting security agencies following a recent military operation against terrorists in the area. He made the call on Sunday during a visit to the community after reports of explosions linked to a coordinated operation by the Nigerian military and allied United States forces between December 25th and December 26th. Tambuwal described the incident as unfortunate and expressed sympathy with affected residents while praying that similar occurrences would not be repeated. Let's now head straight to tax matters away from insecurity. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has warned against any attempt to hastily re-gazette Nigeria's tax laws, cautioning that such action could undermine parliamentary oversight and create a troubling constitutional precedent. The warning follows growing scrutiny after allegations emerged that the Tax Reform Act signed by President Bola Tinubu were altered after passage, with lawmakers flagging discrepancies between parliamentary versions and copies circulating within government ministries. Concerns raised during plenary highlighted potential legal and constitutional risks, even as the federal government denied wrongdoing and maintained the laws would commence in 2026. The Port Harcourt Refining Company, which has been shut since May 24, 2025, is still supplying an average of 349,000 litres of automotive gas oil daily, according to the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Data published by the regulator shows that while there are no ongoing production activities at the refinery, diesel produced before the shutdown continues to be evacuated into the market. The facility has now been in shutdown mode for over 7 months, despite earlier assurances that maintenance would last only 1 month. The refinery was declared operational in November 2024 following rehabilitation, but was shut again in May 2025. Let's also tell you that the Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has filed a lawsuit against the 36 state governors and the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, over the alleged failure to account for about 14 trillion naira received as fuel subsidy savings through FAC allocations since mid 2023. Further, the Federal High Court in Lagos, the suit seeks an order compelling the defendants to disclose how the funds were spent, including project details and locations. Serap argues that secrecy around the funds violates citizens' rights to transparency, especially amid worsening poverty and limited access to basic services. Outside Nigeria now, let's tell you that Côte d'Ivoire concluded its parliamentary elections on Saturday, with voter participation remaining low after opposition parties urged supporters to stay away from the polls. The vote followed the recent presidential election that returned Alassane Ouattara to power, extending his long tenure in office. In several districts of the commercial capital Abidjan, turnout at polling stations was visibly limited, reflecting broader public apathy and political tensions. The Electoral Commission later announced a provisional turnout slightly above 32%, lower than the figure recorded during the previous legislative elections. And also outside Nigeria, Guinea votes on Sunday in the presidential election, widely expected to hand Mamadi Doumbouya, who seized power in a 2021 coup, a 7-year mandate completing the West African nation's transition back to civilian rule, was actually in focus. The former Special Forces commander, believed to be in his early 40s, faced 8 other candidates in a fragmented field with no strong challenger. Ousted President Alpha Condé and long-term opposition leader Cellou Dalein Diallo remain in exile. Guinea holds the world's largest bauxite egg reserves and the richest untapped iron ore deposit at Simandu, officially launched last month after years of delay. Doumbouya has claimed credit for pushing the project forward and ensuring Guinea benefits from its output.
Les proclamations telles que définies dans les dispositions du Code vont commencer partiellement et nous allons finaliser dans les 48 heures, Inch'Allah, à faire la publication des résultats provisoires et la transmission à la Cour suprême. Le budget global de l'élection présidentielle est autour de 400 milliards. 400 milliards, je ne sais pas comment je vais le convertir. Je ne pourrais pas le faire ici parce que la conversion est entièrement financée sur le BND, le budget national de développement.
And that's all the news we have for you for this hour. Don't forget to join us again at 12 with Blessings Mosugu for the 12 report, where you can get much more than what we've offered for this hour. But that's not all. Breakfast Central continues. The front pages of the newspapers is up next. Do stay with us.
On Christmas Day, Nigerians woke up not to a briefing from Defense Headquarters, not from the Nigerian Air Force, not from the presidency, but from Washington. U.S. President Donald Trump announced that airstrikes had been carried out inside Nigeria, and before our own military authorities could speak, Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs rushed out a press release to confirm it. Pause there. How does a country reach a point where the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, an agency meant to manage diplomacy, ends up confirming whether military targets were hit on Nigerian soil? That is not coordination. This is institutional confusion. Let's be clear. This is not about fighting terrorism. Nigerians want terrorists crushed decisively. This is about who controls the trigger, who owns the intelligence, and who speaks for Nigeria. Because what we witnessed was not strength, it was a spectacle. A foreign leader frames Nigeria as a theater of operations, claiming credit for perfect strikes, centers the narrative on religious persecution, and presents himself as Nigeria's savior. Meanwhile, our own government responds not with clarity and authority, but with diplomatic pardon, international cooperation, bilateral understandings, and carefully sanitized language meant not to offend the one abroad. If doing so, they did something far dangerous. They undermined Nigeria's military. They made our gallant soldiers, men and women who fight, bleed, and die look like bystanders in their own country. They diminished our intelligence services by suggesting that critical operations can only succeed when outsourced. They turned sovereignty into a public relations footnote. Let's talk about this lazy phrase they hide behind: international partnership. Partnership does not mean invincibility. Partnership does not mean silence. Partnership does not mean learning about strikes on your own territory from foreign politicians' social media posts. Real partnership respects command structures, national pride, and constitutional authority. Anything else is dependency dressed up as diplomacy. What makes this even worse or more troubling is the pattern. Political elites appear far more interested in current favor with so-called international powers than in being accountable to Nigerians. They answer upwards to Paris or Washington before they answer inwards to the people whose mandates they hold. That is why national interest keeps losing to political survival. That is why sovereignty keeps being negotiated away quietly. That is why institutions are weakened instead of strengthened. And let me be clear, Nigeria does not lack military capability. What Nigeria lacks is political courage. The Nigerian armed forces are more than capable of confronting the security crisis we face if they are allowed to operate with clarity, authority, and national backing. But when political leaders sabotage that effort through silence, mixed messaging, or deference to foreign approval, they do more harm than any terrorist group could ever do. And here is the most dangerous consequence of all. When the state cannot clearly explain who authorizes force, who conducts operations, and who speaks afterwards, the legitimacy of the state itself begins to erode. Good morning, Nigerians.
Very interesting one there with which way Nigeria, where are we going to? Well, that's a question we're asking. By the way, just in case you tuned in, the number one citizen, President Bola Tinubu, has left the shores of the land, Nigeria, and has gone to Europe. The senior special assistant did not detail where in particular the president has gone to in Europe, but we do know that he will be attending an event in Abu Dhabi, but that will be till January 11th. And today, time check, and of course, date check, update is 29th day in the month. But let's bring you the front pages of the newspapers. First off, let's go straight to the leadership newspaper, because as we were starting from, as we begin the front pages of the newspapers today. And let's just put the paper there before I bring in our in-house analyst of international repute. The front page of the leadership newspapers where we're starting with, as I mentioned, and we will be going straight to the stories. Fuel price competition will benefit Nigerians, says National Oil Company Chief Ojulari, and that's what he says. National Oil Company, NNPC. Anyway, Nigeria's domestic airfares cheapest globally. Alan Oyema says, really?
Hello.
I don't agree to that, but I'll let it slide because that's not the focus until we get there.
No, yeah.
2023, Equerry votes gave Tinubu victory in Rivers, says Wike is blowing hot. Health insurance premiums rise as hospitals jack up service fees. If you are sick and you've been to the hospital, you would know what this headline is all about, or you know someone who's been ill. Judicial Council bars 34 lawyers from appointment as judges, said they failed the tests, integrity test. Tinubu leaves for Europe, UAE, and Trump says determined to stop killing of Christians in Nigeria, even though the narrative has been clear, it's not just Christians, even Muslims and non-religious persons have equally been affected. Atiku urges National Assembly to reconsider repass tax bills. I would like us to start from two stories here. First, let's focus on the president leaving for Europe and planning to go to the UAE, after which we can segue into Atiku, former vice president and presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, Atiku Abubakar, stating clearly that the House of Assembly should not be too quick. National Assembly, I beg your pardon, should not be too quick to quickly review and re-gazette what has been gazetted and signed by the president. Rather, they should point fingers at those who make those changes so that we can continue to uphold the integrity of the House and the National Assembly. And let's bring in our guest quickly. Our guest is international journalist of repute, Mr. Habib Haruna joins us this morning. Good morning, sir, and welcome.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Compliment of the season.
Great to have you.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Habib Haruna.
Let's go straight to that story. The president has left the shores of the country. Many were expecting that he would, at a time like this, address Nigerians and talk to Nigerians about the insecurity challenges and what just happened by the United States on December 25th, which happened to be an Xmas Day.
First of all, I appreciate Benga as usual. Well written and well delivered. But I'm not comfortable with that erosion of the favorite. I don't think so. I do not support that kind of argument.
You think it's a partnership?
No, it's a partnership. For now, it's a partnership, and the Secretary of Defense, not war, of the US and the African Command issued a statement that is for the cooperation and collaboration with Nigeria. For now, let's leave it at that. But the issue of the president leaving Nigeria by now, at this moment, is not too tight to answer. This attack, in collaboration with Nigeria, took place just last week. I was thinking that there would have been intense briefing, by the Minister of Defense, Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Minister of Information. Give us what is going on. Let the narrative flow. This is what is going on. These are the people that died.
Let there be a press conference. Let journalists ask.
Then, to cap it off, the president of the country, Commander-in-Chief, represent Nigerians. This is what happened. This is what we allow it. These are the things that the consequences that terrorists will face. There was no anything like that. And if I look at the way the US president came out with a statement, a few minutes after the strike, the man came out. But I was about to go to sleep. I told my wife, I said, look, just 4 minutes after, I saw the message by Trump.
Yeah.
And I was thinking that the president should have issued a statement. A statement that, yes, the Nigerian president, for goodness sake, anything he says is convincing. Anything he says has a lot of...
it's Commander-in-Chief.
Commander-in-Chief. Yes, the Foreign Affairs went around the TV stations. That very money, that they do the money.
Not all
Which TV station? International TV station.
Only one local. Only one local.
But there were more TRT, ABC, Australia.
The Villa guys, and they told me that the man is going around. And I saw him on CNN. I didn't see him on channels, but channels showed him.
Yeah, but more of them were on the international press.
Very well.
I think you're missing the argument that brings.
No. What guys are saying. Me.
We have extended invitation to him. But of course, there's this lackadaisical approach.
But it's not tidy. Nor is it appropriate for the president to have left Nigeria to Europe or UAE without, first of all, going to Abuja, address Nigerians. This is what is going on. Because this situation is unprecedented. Never happened before.
Never happened
before. So people need to know what is going on. You don't take it for, I don't think it's, if you don't just like that, you have to go on vacation. When Rome is built, burning, when there's crisis, I don't think it was well advised. And I think it sent the wrong signal. Lack of capacity.
I don't know, Mr. Haruna, if you permit me, I know we just want to look at two stories which I highlighted here from the leadership. I want us to go to the second one, but before then, if any of our viewers was in tune with the incidents that took place in Australia, a terrorist attack in Bondi, where we saw people who were shot and killed, I keep alluding to that because that's the most recent incidents that happened in the international community, aside from the United States, where a gunman was wielding knife, and then in South Korea, where someone wielded a knife and was attacking people. But in these instances, we see where the security chiefs, it was night, but they were all dressed up in their suit and tie.
It was a masterclass in crisis response management.
Masterclass in crisis, and they kept answering questions. I learned a lot from just watching that. As a journalist,
Absolutely.
the journalists were asking the questions
Absolutely.
I would have asked. So have you caught this person? Do you know where it's coming from?
No,
The answers were professionally done.
Apart from the poor response, because it appears the US was controlling the narrative.
Absolutely.
Before the foreign minister now came on stage to address Nigerians, address the issues involved, how the defense minister should have been involved. In what manner of partnership are we talking about?
Yes.
What cooperation are we talking about? Who is bombing who? Are we involved in the bombing? Because they were trying to gouge the response to America and respond to the northern elite. That's the problem you are seeing. There are many things going on as per the 2027 elections. All these guys, we need to be very careful. Because the US bombed Sokoto. Now, I was thinking the US will attack states in the southeast, in the northeast, or north central. But the bomb Sokoto, according to them, this was the state that the planning was taking place. And that happened to be the place that is hosting the caliphate. Sokoto is the caliphate. That's the heat core north. They're not comfortable with it. So the government is just going to be very careful. So the media should be very circumspect with the way they look at it. In terms of security, in terms of fighting banditry and terrorism, and in terms of national security. It's important we look at it. Because you cannot just, I understand your reservation, you and Benga, but the fact is that this is Nigeria. But I'm not comfortable with the fact that the president will leave Nigeria. He came to Lagos for vacation. He left Lagos to Europe for another vacation. Then from there to UAE. He should have go back to Abuja. Come back to Abuja, meet his security chiefs, address Nigeria after the meeting, then he can take off. By taking off without doing those things, I don't think it's presidential.
Okay, let's just mention to you that the YouTube channel, we're going to be taking comments from our YouTube live. We're streaming live via News Central TV, and we can see a number of your comments coming in. Please keep the comments coming in, and we'll take some of them. Lillian Aloha says, Cry is coming very late. What did he, as a security expert, this was in reference to our previous interview, what did he do to call out northern leaders and by extension others from the south to quench this insecurity rascality when it was still brewing? And then Ibisiki says, any person still talking about non-kinetic approach to fight terrorism in 2025 is a sympathizer. Enough of the stupid jokes.
Okay, can I come in here? When they say non-kinetic approach, it doesn't mean carrot and stick or, converting them into de-radicalization. Non-kinetic could also mean addressing the root cause. What drives them to de-radicalization in terms of messaging? Messaging could also be seen as non-kinetic. What drives them to banditry is also providing jobs and doing community service for these people.
Community service, how?
Community service in terms of providing infrastructure,
for the people
businesses.
Who are
No, in the community, not those that are, so that and removing the Almajiri system, so you don't have a pipeline, a recruitment pipeline.
All the things that
you
you've
deal
mentioned,
with it from source.
All the things you've mentioned. How effective has our government been in these things you've mentioned?
Good governance too is part of non-kinetic. Because if you provide education, healthcare, schools, a thriving community, there's no way you'll find recruitment
what you're saying is a theoretical
bandits
approach.
And criminals.
What you're saying is a theoretical approach, but what's the practicality of this explanation?
So they need to make it practical too. And that is also part of the non-kinetic.
It's giving aspire to perspire.
No, that's what they need to do. Otherwise, it will become a revolving door and an endless cycle of violence.
Okay, keep your comments coming in. We'll take the comments via YouTube, but we will also want to take phone calls. The numbers to call are on the TV screen. Please call in now and share your thoughts. And let's see if you share same sentiments or you have different thought processes regarding any of the stories on the front page. Let's go to another paper.
No, we're not done with the leadership.
Okay.
We wanted to take a story. Atiku is urging the National Assembly to reconsider repass tax bills. I bet Nigerians have heard. So I think we need to state it categorically clear. Let me use the word, not clear, clear. so that it sinks in Nigerians. It has been agreed that the gazetted document was tampered with.
Correct. Yes.
For those who are watching us, let's make it clear now for our viewers, those who want to call in, the Senate, the National Assembly has come out to agree that the gazetted documents have been tampered with. However, there are also stories indicating that the names of those who tampered with these documents will not be made known or public. Therefore, there is also a move to re-gazette the gazetted document. Again,
we need to see
in the National Assembly.
So what would the implication of that be? Would it then mean that the initial January 1st that was supposed to be the implementation of the tax laws will then be halted because there is some work that needs to be done? So I will continue. Which one?
The chairman Oloyede said
there's no going back.
There's no going back.
All right, we have a phone call. We have a call coming in. Good morning. Thank you very much for calling. Please go ahead with your comment.
Good morning, my sister.
How are you?
My response is going to the former guest, Dr. Aliu. Is it?
We're struggling with your audio. You can speak up, please.
So the response is for the former guest, Dr. Aliu.
I was saying that my response will go to your former guest, Dr. Aliu, who was not in support of the U.S. intervention in our country's security.
Okay.
Now, I'm taken aback because I don't actually know what we want as people. You know, 2014, we'll be having restless nights and days, problems here and there, insecurity, bombing, killings here and there. It has been on the increase till today. And then it was talking about that Nigerian government has the capacity. My question is, for how long will that capacity be put to test? Is it when all of us are dead that the capacity can be used? We don't have the capacity. So we needed external assistance. That is the basic. I don't know what we want. Now, they come in, not that they are bombing recklessly. They made their reconnaissance intelligence gathering before they started bombing. You want us to remain here, and then at every point in time, some groups just come, kill people, run into the bush, disappear from that region, go to another region, kill people, go to churches, kill them, go to mosques, kill them, and then life continues. We continue to pretend. I'm surprised that it's his security expert and talking like that. I'm shocked. What do we really want in this country? For God's sake, I'm a Muslim. So the issue of trying to say Muslims are not happy, no, it's a lie. We are tired. We are all tired. This is not how a country should be run or not governed. We've been just helplessly waiting for our own death to come. What do we really want as the people? Now you are criticizing that U.S. is coming, that the bombing. Are they bombing recklessly? They must have taken their intelligence. For God's sake, must we even criticize at the base of criticism? For God's sake, we have been killed here and there. It has abated for so many years. Nothing was done. Nothing was objectively done to quench this. They are increasing in numbers. For God's sake.
All right. Thank you very much, Suleiman, for sharing your thoughts. It was a bit of a struggle to hear you, but I'm hoping that, we're able to pick a few things from there. On YouTube, Olumide Alade says, the president's silence shows how much value we are to him. He so much believes in those that are singing on his mandate, we shall stand, but forgetting their numbers are not up to the task. That's what Olumide says.
One more thing I also want to pick out, and it would be nice for our producers to pick up that video. It's a tradition. We've talked about on your mandate here, but they're not listening. So it almost looks, we sound like a broken record. But this tradition, and I think we need to readdress it. Even cultures evolve of people leaving their very important work to come and escort Mr. President when he's traveling abroad. This is a private trip. He's going for his holidays. He's worked out. He's done his best. Can we have that?
It's not a private trip.
Oh, okay. The Dubai side of it is representing Nigeria. But why do we do this all the time? I mean, very important personalities. You have state governors. You have the Minister of Budget and National Planning. You have the Minister of Budget and National Planning. Minister of finance there at the airport. And when it comes back, we repeat the same ritual.
That is the problem we have. No, I don't know.
Because even me at my level, imagine if our MD is traveling now, and Olive has to come from Agu. Oh, sorry for revealing where you live.
I don't live in Agu. I do not live in Agu.
I said Ag, if you like, go put the Gungi.
I do not live
And Joe
here.
coming from his house to come and...
It's only Nigeria that you see our president being treated like a king. We also saw the video of South African president.
Yes, Cyril Ramaphosa, God bless you. You've seen that.
Even the United States president.
No, don't even go there. As the world leader. Ramaphosa, being escorted by a beautiful woman.
Air Force officer, pilot,
Absolutely. No, I mean, just one single lady.
Okay, let's hear from Abia
Still
State.
reacted to the gazetted...
Uche is calling. Let's hear what Uche has to say. Good morning, Uche. Thank you for calling. Please go ahead.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah. Earlier on this program, Wenga was talking about non-connected. Hello?
Yes,
Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to ask Wenga, will you apply it to Boko Haram people? Like you said, building schools. These are people that told you...
No, okay. Uche, when I say non-kinetic, I'm saying they should...
He was explaining...
Proper governance.
Let's allow Uche.
Okay.
Building schools for, Boko Haram. Will they accept it? That is what I'm asking them in regards to non-connective. I'm asking him whether you will preach that to those people that said education is Boko Haram. Now you are building education. And also, issue of religion. Those people that are saying blasphemy, like you preach against their, what they believe, they will kill the person instantly. We are having different laws in this country. That is the problem. We don't have one law for everybody. A country will have one law, both the rich and the poor, before the country will do what? Move forward. What we are practicing in Nigeria will not make this country to progress. That's my stand. Until our leaders do the right thing. God bless you people.
Thank you very much.
To respond to Uche, you cannot shoot your way out of a conflict. Even the Second World War, the First World War, all conflicts in the world, you still come back to the drawing table and address the root causes. And in addressing the root causes of insecurity, it has to do with governance and the livelihoods, the lives of these individuals involved. If you look at their community and dealing with the root causes, there's a lot of hopelessness. There's zero government presence. There are no schools, no public health facilities. It's almost like the wild, wild west. So they're easy targets and recruits for this violent extremist group. So until you fix that and you make sure that the community thrives, then it will continue to be an endless cycle of violence. That's what I mean.
Let's get a reaction on the gazetted copy so we can move because of time as well.
I think that it has generated a lot of controversy. And it should be back to the drawing board. Look at it again. Let the lawmakers tell us that, yes, this is what they have on the table. That is not tampered with. And I don't think it should be operational January 1st. That is not should be acceptable. Imagine not telling Nigerians that there's no going back. No going back to what? And I think it should be tied also to what is not said yesterday, Alex Onyema. That this tax law, this new tax, will affect Nigerians adversely. Will affect operators in the industry. And that you say that some of them will close shop within 3 months. If you look at it very well, I spoke yesterday on Arise TV. I think that what he said to me was very convincing. And NCAA came out immediately to say the man was just raising an electric alarm. I think NCAA should address the issues that Onyema raised. The issue of how they borrow money from the bank. The issue of how they go and service their planes in Europe. The issue of spending a lot of dollars, foreign currency. All these things are in foreign currency, and it's not something that is too good for the business of these operators. They should address it. So the question is that direct to answer. They should go back to the drawing board. Tell us, those involved to me, you cannot know, you won't know that. I know that. This is Nigeria. But the fact remains that the way it is now, they cannot go ahead, and make it operational by the 4th of January to not work. Nigeria is going to be convinced that yes, this is the right thing to do, but they can pay their taxes.
Well, since they've said that, we'll go ahead. It's a situation of do your worst.
No, that will be difficult. Nigeria will not allow it.
Okay. We'll be here to see.
48 hours,
Abby. We're not telling them that they should go ahead. You see, taxation is a very critical core issue.
And also transparency and accountability.
That affects your sensibility and sensibilities. I told you guys on this program that it was taxation that led to the U.S. independence, that the war against the British. No taxation, no representation. Nigeria must know what they are paying for.
Very
they must be represented adequately. When you can tax them. It's a big issue. I think the government is looking at it. If they want to rush it, well, I wish them good luck.
Okay. While we're talking about taxation and transparency, we do have a guest who's joining us all the way from the Federal Capital Territory. We have Ambassador Victor Udo. He's the convener, Niger Delta Progressive Alliance, oil and gas expert commentator, who joins us now from our Abuja studios live. And we're going to be looking at 2025. Nigeria saw an all-time increased production rate. Not just that, according to OPEC, Nigeria surpassed its target production quota of 1.5 million barrels per day. Now, both OPEC and NNPCL had attributed this milestone to the peace and development in the Niger Delta region. Thank you so much for joining us, and good morning to you.
Good morning. It's a pleasure being here.
Great. We do have our in-house guest as well, but we'll come back to him before we wrap up the show. But let's just focus on this development, this progress. Can you bring us up to speed on the possibility of Nigeria meeting its quota? We do hear that it's been a challenging one, especially looking at the up and down, or better so you say, the unstable naira to dollar exchange rate. So what makes this possible?
The issues within the oil and gas must be understood from the paradigm of its functionality, its influence, and not too much on its dependence on too many variables, especially when you want to relate it to the issue of the stability of the naira and the forex itself. The successes in the oil and gas itself, it's a guarantee for the large-scale access of balance of trade at the international market that will help us have a better forex regime and will help us have a better stability. But I have interest in the statement you had made earlier before you asked the straight question that the meeting of OPEC quota and what is going on in the Niger Delta today is anchored relatively on the peaceful environment that has been restored significantly in the Niger Delta. It boils down to the fact that without peace, very little can be achieved. Without peace, much cannot be done. It therefore gives some thanks to the people of the Niger Delta for embracing peace. This peace was not embraced in an open vacuum. It was embraced because there is significant level of trust building now between operators in the Niger Delta, in the oil and gas sector, and the deliberate government policy from the PIA and the shift away from excess militarization of the region to what I refer to as non-conventional methods of addressing the issues of the Niger Delta. It goes to, for instance, the Ogoni crisis, the Ogoni agitations and Ogoni issues. And the federal government decided that they were going to come back for oil exploration in the Niger Delta of Ogoni axis. They did not bring more boots on ground. Rather, the president made a decent proposal of building a university in Ogoni land, involving the Ogoni people and having conversation with the Ogoni people. And that is pushing for the return of oil exploration in the Niger Delta of Ogoni axis. Then there is this also situation that has happened significantly in the Niger Delta. By the laws of Nigeria, as stipulated in the Constitution 1999 as amended, The armed forces of the Federal Republic are supposed to protect the critical national assets of this country, oil and gas inclusive. But at a point, it was discovered that it was not getting the needed result. Then the civil defense was fully drafted in to the protection of critical national assets, oil and gas being primary. And then it was working at some degree. Then all of a sudden, the federal government had a third-party engagement by bringing in surveillance company, private contracting companies to participate in the protection of critical national asset of oil and gas. And these companies, from the information available and from what we know as stakeholders in the Niger Delta today, these companies have done three things. Number one, they've expanded the inclusivity of the people of the Niger Delta and therefore building trust, because the hitherto struggle of the Niger Delta was a consequence of mistrust between the people, the government, and the operators of the oil sectors. One, they built trust. Two, they went ahead to look at the day-to-day life of the Niger Delta people. Outside the books, what can we do to support, to give the Niger Delta people a better life? And then they came up with the issues of corporate social responsibility. Every company, every organization has a corporate social responsibility toward its host community. But what the oil and gas protecting companies, especially the one operating on the Trans-Niger pipeline, has done is that they have expanded the corporate social responsibility to the degree of making healthcare facility, education facilities, giving large-scale scholarship, empowering women at a very large number, and giving out support to people within the host community. And significantly, the reduction in the number of boots on ground, but inclusivity of more people on the table to participate on decisions and driving of the oil and gas activities in the Niger Delta, especially when it comes to the protection of pipelines. Because the shortfall in Nigerian oil, let me round this thought up. The shortfall or inability of the Nigerian state to meet its OPEC quota or produce sufficient oil that can better her economic process is not because there are no sufficient oil in the wells or in the creeks, but because there were always human interference, there was always sabotage, there were always vandalism. So the ability to bring vandalism to a halt, the ability to end human interference in the process of transporting oil, when you look at it from the upstream, midstream to downstream, human interference has always been responsible for our inability to meet our OPEC quota. The NNPC and the government pegging a budget at 1.84 for next year is built on the confidence that peace has returned to the Niger Delta significantly, and the human interference on pipelines in terms of vandalism or whatsoever has been brought to almost zero level, what we refer to as zero infractions in the oil and gas pipeline. This is evidence that as of last month, November thereabouts, we had 1.8 output, both the condiment and the actual crude itself. This continuation of this possibility is built on the premise that some persons have been able to get their acts together, and then what is happening is a major watershed. Having explained that, I am confident that with the spirit in the Niger Delta now, the calmness in the Niger Delta, the inclusivity of the people, and the participation of the people in the protection of the critical national assets of oil and gas, and lastly, the recognition and respect of the people, traditional rulers, host community committee chairmen, and youth leaders in the Niger Delta, occasioned by the private companies' involvement is a guarantee that Nigeria will be able to meet its OPEC quota and meet the budget projection. Some of us are even thinking that we should be able to do 2 million and above from next year, because from what we have access to, there's relatively going to be zero or very minimal human interference. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Victor Udo, just before we wrap up and let you go, news reaching us says the federal government has written off $1.42 billion and 5.57 trillion NNPC legacy debt to the Federation. I also want to know, it's been a few years since the PIA was signed into law, what compliance level is like and how has it revolutionized the oil and gas sector in Nigeria?
If you can help us answer this maybe in a minute, we'll appreciate that.
Summarize that. What the PIA has done is that it has given some concession. Outside the 13% that were given to state government, 3% in the PIA goes to the core host community. This core host community support has resulted in massive cooperation with the government and the stability in the Niger Delta, the guarantee that when you produce oil, it will get to either the terminal for export or it will get to the refineries for processing, refining, and it will get to the market, drives in a large-scale FDI, foreign direct investment. So whatsoever expenditure had been done in the aspect of making sure that the oil and gas flows as it should flow, in my mind, and to the belief of most people who want this country to progress, who wants to have a better nation, it's not out of place. What I mean is not that we don't want people to look at the books, we don't discredit auditing and all these things, but the federal government expenditure will be recovered through direct foreign investment and even local investment, because as it stands now, the Niger Delta region has come to a place where you can predict the predictability of the possibility of a quantity of oil that we can make as a result of the peace in the region. Then lastly, I want to make something very clear. Every nation has its particular problem. The structurally implementable strategy developed outside the box is what guarantees the pace and the possibility of resolving these problems. What we are seeing today in the Niger Delta, the oil and gas sector, and the protection of pipelines that guarantees that exploration, transportation, and eventual export or refining will happen was a deliberate thinking outside the box, using a non-conventional method to do what we refer to as a structurally implementable strategy of securing ourselves. And to us in the Niger Delta, this is excellent because it is not just about the figures, the government data, the export possibility. What about the environment? What about the degradations that occurs when oil is being spilled? When there is seizure of spillage, when there is stoppage of vandalism, you protect the environment, you restore the ecosystem, and you allow farmers to go to farm. You allow people who do fishing to go to fish. You allow other economic activities to happen in the Niger Delta. So the preservation and protection of pipelines in the Niger Delta and allowing the Niger Delta to remain peaceful is beyond the issues of just meeting OPEC quota, is beyond the issues of the federal government investment and what the federal government. In that note, I say that the PIA that has allowed for these reforms, that have allowed for this new input, that has allowed for this new thinking, it's a functional document. Its implementation, we will give it an assessment in the next 3-4 years. Because as of now, what we are seeing is a little bit appealing to us. So a critical and outright assessment may not be that very, very objective. Because if we talk now, it will look as if we're too excited about what the PIA has done, the reform it has allowed, bringing on private contractors to protect pipelines in the Niger Delta. So let's give it 2-3 years and see what will happen. And we'll take a critical look at the PIA functionality. We know there are people that are in supporters that are calling for 1 or 2 amendments, but you know that the laws of every nation continue to evolve as the need for the metamorphosis and the adjustment of the policies and program and the welfare of the people. Therefore, say that what is happening in the Niger Delta today, the success story is a little bit beyond the naira and dollars and affects the environment and brings stability to our people.
All right, Mr. Victor Odo, thank you very much for speaking, to this issue, and we, completely see your perspective. I look forward to having further conversations with you. I look forward to seeing peace in the Niger Delta. Thank you for joining us to end the show today, because this is where we draw the curtain on today's show. Thank you, Mr. Habib Haruna, all our guests who have joined us physically, virtually, as well as our YouTube audience. We'll be back again, same time tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.